So, welcome everybody to this second episode of Investing in Mexico. My name is Roberto, and here with me as guests, special guests, we have Kristi and Katherine. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Well, as we were discussing the other day and previously to the podcast, um, one of the goals of this podcast is to let people know what it's like to invest in Mexico. And let me tell you about these two beautiful women here. Mexico was, for some reason, attractive for them, but we want to understand from you and let the audience understand how is it really to invest in Mexico, what methods you use, what was the situation when you arrived. Like, can you tell us first? I don't know if Kristi, Katherine, who want to start. What was really that firstly attracted you to Tulum, for example?
Yeah, I can go. So I've always been such a beach lover, loving going to the beach. And I went for my birthday to Tulum, and I fell in love with Tulum. That was a couple years ago. And when I left, I said I want to invest in Tulum. So I always had a vision that I wanted to do it, but you never really think about investing in Tulum and if you're on vacation. But it was something I actually said that I wanted to do. And so my best friend at the time was living in Tulum during COVID. He had said to me, Kristi, I know you're a big time investor in the United States. If you want to get a good return on your investment, you should probably look at investing in Mexico, especially in Tulum, because the rate on return is aggressively growing and there's so much opportunity here and you could just see left and right. You need to come down here. So I did, and at the time we were looking to buy land. We did buy land, and then I would start bringing down investors with me to look at buying, maybe either subdividing the land, building villas, or doing things like that. And when I brought down one of my investor friends, we stayed at a hotel, and we were talking to the owner, and he said he was selling the hotel. And so at that time, three of us decided that we were going to invest in buying a hotel in Tulum.
Wow.
So that was the beginning. And then, things happened, and I ended up buying the hotel by myself, and we can talk about the bigger, like the ups and downs of how to buy real estate in Mexico, and especially in Tulum. But I also want to introduce Katherine, because she came on as my business partner to own the hotel with me, because at the time I was overwhelmed. I had, never owned a hotel. I didn't know operations. I was more of a business, real estate development side, and handling, doing flips and doing, development on that side, but never really handling the hospitality side. And here comes an angel, which is Katherine.
Wow.
Thank you. No, for me, it's yes, Kristi took the leap and discovered Mexico, at least opened the eyes to me for Mexico. I'm Colombian, and any type of investment, not like that, because I haven't invested in hotels before, just in real estate in general, has been from the lens of like either Colombia or Panama, that is a place I used to live, or Brazil. My husband is Brazilian, and never crossed to my mind to invest in Mexico. And then when Kristi presented this opportunity, like I got to go there and see, as she said, like what is the possible role in investing in Mexico, and I feel that it's a perfect place. And for us that live in US, it's closer. So you want to have, like, at least when you're doing this type of investments, to be closer to them, and it was very attractive due to the distance and the type of return that you get in Mexico.
So you both live in California, right?
Yes.
And
Correct.
I suppose you met there.
Yes. We went through my neighbor, is it niece?
It will be my niece-in-law.
Niece-in-law.
Wow.
Madame.
Small
Yes.
world. And then you ended up buying a hotel in Mexico and Tulum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, like we got introduced because we both do real estate in here in California. So I come from the startup world. Like when you share, Roberto, that you come from like scaling and working with businesses, that's my background. And Kristi has been in real estate for longer. And I was doing real estate just for a few years, and the reason that we got introduced is like, oh, you guys do the same, and you should connect and see what projects you are doing right now. And it was for California, but we ended up in Mexico.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's a fun story. I invested in California first and ended up in Tulum. Yes.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, but so let me figure this out. How by living in California, you like of course the ROI was something attractive, but what did you see different and what were the steps you took to achieve like getting to buy the hotel?
Yeah. So when we saw the return on investment, which is like 25%, at least in Mexico, we knew that this was a good opportunity and that it's actually a gold mine to come in and see that these hotels are being built. You can renovate them, flip them. You can also sell them for fractional ownership. You can I have other hotel friends that have done that, have sold their hotels in a couple years in Tulum specifically. So I knew that this was a really good opportunity. The way we did it was because we do have real estate in the United States. It was really hard to fund in Mexico, and the only way that we could really do that was putting collateral on our properties in United States. So we worked with private lenders. We were able to get that money from our private lenders and put collateral on our properties and get a really good return on our investment with the loan that we have.
So you took profit of the low interest stage in the US. You bought, I guess, 2021.
So I've been investing since 2021. So I've been investing for a long time.
Yeah, no, I
No,
understand.
actually, no, not 2021. 2001 was when I bought my first
2001. All
property.
right.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the hotel, when you took like when you I guess you refinance on in the US to come by here in Tulum was 2021.
2020. Yeah, 2021. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Makes sense. But did you like for like how do you come to say okay we want to finance this project and like what was like where was this 25% return of investment coming from?
Well, we had talked to a lot of developers in Tulum. We got a lot of paperwork from, the developers that had actually done their return on investment. So we were able to see the actual numbers and really believe that, you can make that kind of return on your investment in Tulum. That was given that it was 2021, 2020, where the numbers in Tulum were just amazing and everybody was coming to Tulum and it was the hot spot, and it still is a hot spot, but it just, it slowed down a little bit. So then, looking back, was it, the right timing for investing? I think so, because the hotel now has an opportunity to grow. I think there's a lot of bandwidth where we're at which is La Valletta. I also think having the airport that's going to be built, that's going to bring our volume and value up in the hotel industry. And I also think that, where we're at, there's still room to grow in terms of new developments getting popped up and turning it into a really great area.
Yeah, I feel that it's like to that you were asking, like the difference. I think that Kristi just mentioned that part is that in places like our countries and like Mexico, there is still so much to develop, right? So when we do real estate here in California, you were asking about what is the difference, what is the attractive, why going to Mexico? It's like, yeah, we still do it here, and you have like a process, a recipe in which you can do it, but there is a cap because there is some already development that took place here, right?
Right.
And I feel that you still find the opportunities, but you need to look for those opportunities versus like a place like Tulum specifically or other places in Mexico in which, because it's in development, it's like there is opportunities everywhere because the place itself is in development. So the value is going to increase. There is no other way around, right? That's how things work when you are in development.
Yeah, no, I mean, in coming from investing for several years, both of you, in the United States, I like for me would be reasonable to look also for alternative investments, right? And Tulum at the time effectively was one of the hottest spots in the world. I think it was probably the only place in the world that was open for business and for travel.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in like middle of the lockdowns, and but fortunately, I think that put Tulum in the eyes of the world, first of all,
Absolutely.
and then secondly, um, it like it was like a reaction
Hmm.
chain reaction. Sorry, it was a chain reaction. Like first people start coming, then people start developing, and then suddenly, finally the airport that they said they were going to open since like 20 years ago, finally they're doing it. And I don't know if it was a coincidence or it was like more uh, like just okay, let's bet on Tulum from the government, from international investors like you, and then
Oh, I think that was more in the lines like now we are being watched, so we have to execute.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah,
Yep.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Still, some roads are not paved, and I'm still watching for those roads. But yeah, I agree.
No, just kidding. But it's like you said that like people got attracted to Tulum, right? It was the only place open, so now it's like it's in sometimes there are many projects that the government in different countries are doing, and like it's just projects, but this one is like everybody talks about that, and it's like and the airport is coming, and the airport is coming, and now like everybody has their
And now
eyeballs
the
on.
airport is coming. Finally, for real.
It's gonna be a global celebration that day.
I've been going to the airport like twice a week to see the
Yeah.
progress, and it's going very well.
You see the
Amazing.
progress? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, nice. Good to know.
I have my comments. I would say like they could have thought to make a road for a shorter path to arrive to the airport, but it's coming.
It's
You're gonna
amazing.
be 30
Wonderful.
minutes away from town, around that.
That's amazing. Instead of the
Yes.
Yes.
commute from Cancun, and we always do overnight flights. So by the time we get to Tulum, we're exhausted. So it'll be really nice to have that direct flight to Tulum.
Yeah, absolutely. So one question: why a boutique hotel?
So for me, I saw that that was the real estate world, is that you start with single family homes, you go to duplexes, you go to multifamily apartments, you go to Airbnbs, and I saw the pattern, which is a lot of, on social media, what people were doing was buying boutique hotels. And you do see it now, like a lot of people that I follow are buying boutique hotels. And I think the reason is that nobody really wants to stay in hotel chains anymore in terms of the experience that they want. They're looking to travel, but they're looking for a wellness experience. They want the whole like portfolio of coming in, getting treated with royalty, or having it be a family experience where they get really nice service, and then they also can do a spa treatment, which we have at our hotel. They can do a sauna treatment. They can do massages. We have the restaurant. Everything's all on the property, which I think is really amazing, and just how beautiful it is. It's a small boutique hotel versus, you get. I went to a hotel, right after I left Tulum, and I was lost. It was like, I mean, so big, and we had to take buses to get to the pools, and it was just such a different experience. Whereas I really do like fall in love with the little boutique hotels that I have been going to.
Yeah. And for me, I think that as the more that as society keeps evolving, right, and we are more in like to tech, you can see that the human is craving for those experiences. Like humans are craving to like just go back to culture and to the roots of the places. So from the lens of a business itself, I see how like if you see Airbnbs are like a big thing right now, and if people are claiming they prefer to feel home, they prefer to feel like that there is some emotional connection to the places they stay with. So I feel that from the business perspective, a boutique hotel give you that. It's like it's an experience. It's a connection to the local culture. It's like make it unique. And then as an investor, I see lower risk because then it's like it's something that is more manageable. It's something that you can like really adapt to, like pivot to different directions in case anything happens, because it's smaller, it's easy to manage than bigger properties or bigger investments. And yeah, I think that is like the business behind the real estate, and the risk level, I feel that is lower.
Yeah. And just to kind of, continue on with that, with the real estate side, what we're seeing is people actually funding hotels to do a value add to them. So whether it's like building out a restaurant or building tree houses or whatever the case might be, there is a reason that people are actually coming in to invest in hotels, and they're getting big returns on their investment. And there's also the other side of it, which is fractional ownership, which, we could have another podcast on. But I think that just, people find hotels, boutique hotels, sexy, and people want to invest in them. And when we say we own a hotel, that people are like, wow, that's amazing. But, it's a lot of work. But I think at the end of the day, like, it's going to give a really great return for us and our investors too.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been learning from boutique hotels, and also this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring you to the podcast, learn more about your reasoning behind getting to Era Hotel and Mexico and financing all of that. But I mean, we have some boutique hotels in our listings. The numbers are just impressive. Like, revenue is more consistent. Groups are people is traveling in groups.
Absolutely.
And like as Katherine said, like, you can manage easier a property like this one. Bookings, like the whole experience, it's easier to manage. The cost, like, our economies of scale, and at the end, you can even charge more money. Like, I was doing my research on arguments, for promoting my listings. I was seeing, like, people traveling in bigger properties, booking bigger properties like boutique hotels, BLS. They are paying 65% more in the last 5 years versus the 2 1-bedroom units that are charging 15% less than versus 5 years ago. So you have seen, like, the trend is imminent. Like, you seen, like, people loves traveling in groups, loves having, like, a more like you said, like, yeah, like that home feeling, and then, like, that custom shampoo on your bathroom, like the towels, the service, like, everything is different. Like, it's like a hotel, but like Airbnb, and in the middle of those, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Airbnb, or in the middle of, like, a family is hosting you, but you don't see the family, like something in those lines. And while you were talking, I think that also, like, for investors out there, like, if something we struggle when we do investments is scalability, right? That's the hardest part. So I feel that the same way that the boutique hotel is easier to manage, I want to say that the path for scalability is also easier.
Absolutely. But why would you say that?
Because once you get, like, imagine that you have a big property and you have this investment, in order to make the next one, like, a lot of factors you need to have in consideration in order to do it again. It's like everything changes, so the scalability is more complex. With a boutique hotel, if you get the experience right and the process right to know why your boutique hotel is unique and is different, and it's easier to create, like, all the manual processes, the brand of that, then all what you need to do is, like, find the next location, right? It's easier, and then replicate over there, rather than deal with a lot of, like, complex, like, equations about, like, how the next business is gonna succeed. So it's easier to scale in that regard.
I love it.
Yeah, and I think just on top of that is that, having the right team in place for the hotel really makes a big difference too, and having trust, and having, people like, people call us and say we want to stay at Era, and they know that they're going to get the really good experience, and that they trust the people that are actually working there, and it's a little family for us, that we that are our coworkers, and that we work together. I think that really also says a difference about our hotel. And I'm not sure if you heard, but we got into the Michelin Guide as top 6 hotel out of 6,000 in Tulum. So that says a lot about just, people coming and, really being happy with the experience. And they actually came and saw the experience as well.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes. It was something that, like, we were just so in shock, and we we still need to celebrate, but yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
I remember we were in talks like a couple of months ago, like about, well, you were about to tell me about the hotel and how it was going, and it wasn't that easy at some point, right?
Oh, definitely. We've had many nights of crying and swearing and ups and downs. And yeah, I mean, I've never, I've always worked in tech, and, real estate has always been my passion. But besides that, like, I've never been, having to learn the Mexican laws, having to learn, dealing with the lawyers, having, just little things like, our restaurant got closed down because, it was not up to code, and, having to go through those fines, and just little things that we've learned along the way that have really kind of made us so much stronger. And just every day, there's a new issue that we have to, talk about and figure out, a solution to. And I think that's really why we're doing well. And I think that, at the end of the day, I have Katherine as a business partner, and I mean, the sky's the limit with us. I feel that, we have a great team, and I'm really proud of what we've done, and, where we're going.
Yeah, I feel that the hard part, well, there are many challenges and more to come when it's any investment, any endeavor that you pick. But I feel that for me it was more like we live in the U.S. I don't things here work in certain way, and it's like things are more predictable in regards to the process of the investment or whatever you want to. There is something that happens, and you can expect what is the next step, step. But in Mexico, it helped me to reconnect. Again, I'm Colombian, it's not just Mexico, to that things don't happen the way that it should happen, right? There are like shortcuts, and there is like it's like this, but it never is like this. People do it this way, so why the law exists? Like, no, but so it's dealing. I feel that was the biggest challenge, just to deal with that. I don't know, Roberto, how to say that in English. Yes, and surprises that can come any day, because it's the nature of, I would say, our countries, our market, is how business is done. It is evolving, and I hopefully one day we get to normalize all those things. But I feel that there is a challenge there to deal with that. And for me, it was like to connecting back to that, like, okay, how things are done in our countries, and really understand it from that perspective, that there is a way to do it, and most of the people don't follow those processes or don't follow those steps. And it's
I
like
agree.
it's a dilemma. Those are the challenges that I feel that are where we struggle the most, like adapting to
So it
how
was
things
more
are done
like
there.
Yeah.
understand, like I'm Mexican, I live here, I've had different businesses, and still I'm running one, and it's in every, like, a task of every day, dealing with different things, with people, and I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but to be honest, I think it's something is happening also around the world, and maybe I'm a bit of out of subject here, but like I've seen that literally people just want different things every time. Now more and more and more and more with social media, with all of these, like they cannot help. They have a lot of changing interests, and they don't care about you, right? They don't care about your business. They don't care about when you need the things, or why is it important to have it on time, or things like that, right? And then, or and even like Yeah, that part I agree, but it also, I think it's about the communication. Like here in Mexico and probably in Latin, like we assume a lot of things. You know, we take a lot of assumptions. Like, you know, like um, the famous phrase ahorita, mañana, espérame tantito, right? Like these little phrases that you don't know when exactly it is, right? I don't know if you dealt.
Yep.
Yes, I tell my husband that word, like ahora, right? And then it's like it's similar in Portuguese, but for me, like ahora is like in a little bit, right? And then it's
Right,
like ahora, espera, like hold on, wait, right?
right.
And he's like, but for me, ahora is now. It's like,
Yeah,
like it's
right
not in a
now.
little bit, it's right now. So yes, I feel that also could be, now that you said that, is like the way that the people perceive, because you're saying like, oh, people don't care. And at the beginning, when we were there, like trying to build teams, we can notice that was the perception, that like the people, or like the were always, they felt or they assume that the people don't care about them either, and that then that's why they switch jobs, and then it was hard like to find the perfect team. And then as you got to like show them that we had a different approach, a different philosophy, I can sense how the team was even like kind of like skeptical, like what, like
Right.
do you really want to know what I care, like.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
interesting, and maybe it comes from because we are used, talking in our countries, we are not used to see things that way, and there is also this perception that people, even if it's US or Europeans, will go and invest, and that's what I heard from the staff, like taking advantage or exploit them, or just like see them as like, you work for me and you're gonna produce money for me. So maybe from that perception and that feeling, they also behave that way. So yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
So so it was a challenge putting together the team, I assume, but also I assume there was previous to having a hotel, you had a lot of struggles with the legal documentation, lawyers, things like that, right? How do you dealt with that?
Absolutely.
Like, what was like it?
So for me, I have to be honest. I had to go in with trust, and I had to go in with the seller's help, and going with their lawyers, because at the time, I had other lawyers, and I wanted to work with them, but it was all kind of in house, and so I decided to go in house with the lawyers just to make it simple, make it, they had all the documents and made it simpler. Looking back, I definitely should have hired my own lawyers and had my own, team representing me. And so when Catherine got on board, we were like, all right, let's get our new lawyers, let's have our own, so that way we're not commingling and having, different people helping each other out. And so we hired our new lawyers, and when that happened, things kind of moved faster, and then we got everything, I think, aligned a lot easier than had it, having going through the same lawyers. I also think that, sometimes people say, oh, like the language barrier could be an issue, and, not speaking fluent Spanish, and all the contracts were in Spanish, and having to really kind of dig into that, and, look into like all the different contracts that are in Spanish, and making sure I didn't miss anything, and really kind of copy and pasting everything into translators, and, having to make sure I understood everything. But I think at the end of the day, as an investor from the United States, someone that didn't have a lot of experience investing in Mexico, I think we managed to get through it, and I really recommend people to invest in Mexico, because once they have a good legal team in place, I think it's a lot, it's going to be a lot easier to buy, whatever they're looking to buy in Mexico.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel that there are two ways that I feel that could be many options, but like two options that I see clearly for investors like us to go in a new territory. And one option is to have resources to hire your own like legal team and be willing to invest aside from the investment itself, like to set apart resources to invest in all the what comes before, like the due diligence, like how you make sure that what is being said, it is what it actually is, and where the property is, and that part of like how things work in for the lots, the land, like all that legal part, the deed. Like I feel that there is one option of like you having the resources and willing to invest, because it can be expensive to just have a team that you give the trust and they can do all that due diligence and guide you through that process. Or there is another option to have someone local or someone that is there and knows and that you can trust and like can hold your hand and like kind of like guide you to that process, and someone that can be next to you and guide you to that journey. Like it could be many other options, but at least in our experience, that were the two options that we had, right? Like either have a strong team that can do all those things and have the resources to pay for it, or build trust with locals that can guide us through the process.
Yes. Yes.
And I think for me, the last thing is that, when people are investing into Mexico, is that nobody told me that you're going to have to pay an extreme amount in taxes when you buy a hotel. So once we got to the point where we're like, okay, we're ready to sign the documents and we're ready to buy the hotel, they're like, oh, but now you owe like $70,000 more for taxes. And I was like, no, like no one told me that. So I think that's
Right.
a huge, when you're going through the step-by-step process with the lawyers, is making sure that you know everything before you even decide to buy a hotel, and what that money is going to come out to.
Right, because it's commercial property, hotels,
Absolutely.
and they pay the taxes on the value added taxes, right? The VAT.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
16% there.
Yes.
Yeah, I've
Absolutely.
seen that, and definitely a lawyer is recommended for that because there are
Yeah.
many different strategies not to avoid taxes, but to help understand what you're gonna pay for what kind of property, right? And
Right.
then, of course, when you have a boutique hotel, you have the benefit of having these precious operating permits, which
Mm-hmm.
help you at the end operate in the country or in the region, whilst as in other places in the world right now, Airbnb with regulations is getting beat up.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah. More
So
restrictions in Mexico, or?
I mean, yes, you never know. You never know when they're coming, right? And I think one of the interesting things about owning a boutique hotel is having operating permits.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, we've figured that one out too as we go. We have operation permits, the liquor license permits, the spa permits. It's all these things that we've got to learn along the way. But
So okay,
yeah,
and okay, so would you continue investing here in Mexico?
absolutely. Yes, I'm 100% believer in it.
Tulum,
Yeah,
would it be Tulum again?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. Like I think that we spent the summer there this summer, and I brought my kids down, and we love it there. I think it's just a beautiful place, and I'm, excited about what the future of Tulum is. And I hope that, with just the forever, every time I go there, there's some new beautiful hotel or something popping up. And, there's areas that I just got to explore last time I was there that I'd never seen in Tulum. And I think that's really going to change in a positive way when the airport gets there, because all the East Coasters now can just fly and get there in, 2-hour flight. And I think it's going to be beautiful. And I also really believe in the holistic experience there. And I think the wellness is huge, and just bringing people down there for retreats is going to be amazing. And I think it's one of the most beautiful places in Mexico. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Tulum. I live here, and
Yeah. It's
I
magic.
think there are a lot of places also in Mexico that are beautiful, magic, and that have their own brand, as Tulum has get to build over time. But I have one question. Like, what would be like the three things, uh, do's and don'ts? Like, like
Oh
maybe
no.
Chrissy, you can do the do's and Catherine the don'ts, and or as you wish.
I think I should do the don'ts, but okay.
All right.
No, so I think for the dues, I think is really if you're going to invest in Tulum is to get to know the locals and build relationships and meet someone like you, Roberto, who has the intel to talk about real estate and knows like the future of what Tulum looks like and the roadmap of where to invest and all of that. And I think that was something that I should have done a little bit more diligently in terms of like really having a connection there that knew real estate to so many different levels because I love doing land, I love doing villas and the hotels. There's so many different areas that I really should have kind of met someone like you prior to me investing. I also think that becoming a local and building in the restaurant industry, we have a restaurant and we haven't really been able to make this restaurant as successful as we want it yet. And I think just taking a step back, I would have really wanted to meet more chefs in the industry or just really getting to know how it works in Mexico in terms of owning a restaurant. And I think as well as a spa. Like I think what we should do is had really met with a bunch of different massage therapists, really brand the spa into an amazing area that we would have like nonstop traffic inside of our spa. So
Amazing.
those are
Thank
things I
you
just
for the endorsement, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's key. It's key. I feel that the do's, I feel that is like go to Tulum and explore the place as I said before is in development. So is that don't see just as an investment. Is just go do and pick like from all the room that there is for development in Tulum, like what is that niche that you want to claim? Because it's like it's in development. There is too many opportunities. So it's like go there, experience it, and then get super clear like where you want to position yourself. I feel that as Kristi said, like just meet people, and as you meet people, I will before jumping have your team already, like you just think it through, because I feel that the people is gonna be the most important asset to develop whatever you want to develop there. And then the don't, like I just give you two, but one of don't do, I feel that is like instead of trying to bring something from the outside, it's like connect with the culture in Tulum and see how you can be an ambassador of that, right? Like usually when we invest in other parts, we want to like it works back like different, right? Like you want to bring something from outside and take the most from it there and then invest and make it work. I feel that with Tulum, like really connect with the culture, try to like see what is already working for them and then leverage that.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then I have two bonus questions. You never thought these ones, but first one. So you talk about value add, about when buying boutique hotels. Value add. What kind of strategies would you use to add value to the property? For example, for Hera Hotel or for any other boutique hotel you might acquire in the future.
Yeah, I can start with that one. So I came from Zoom, I, came from tech companies, and what I'm seeing in the space is that a lot of execs are coming down with their teams to bring this whole like holistic experience and renting out the hotel and doing these wellness retreats. So really tapping into the retreats, I think is going to be really big for us. I think secondly is with the restaurant is we have the opportunity to open a bar, and we have an opportunity to expand on the land, which is above the front area, receptionist area. So if we can add another little kind of lot and make the bar bigger, that's going to be a value add. And then I also think the spa, which is, something that, I think we had talked about, which is, having a membership where people could come in and utilize the spa and having massages in the sauna room and, then having lunch and doing the co-working space. I think that's going to be something that we could do as well. And then obviously the last piece is making sure that we get repeat customers or repeat clients, and making sure that they're really happy and that we can maybe offer them future discounts in the future if they book direct versus going through like the OTAs and things like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think I have two more ones actually. One more for I think for you, Kristi, and the other one for you, Katherine. So you let me know who wants to answer. It doesn't matter. But so you mentioned about a 25% return of investment. Would you think that is gonna be when like, I mean, I imagine you have an exit strategy. Do you think you will hit that target beyond or below that target?
I'll let Katherine run with it because she's our numbers person.
Well, so we have two strategies. The 25% return if we keep replicating the hotels and then build more like a brand, right? So then we get that 25% on annual basis constantly, always, due to the business that is behind. And the other, when you were talking about exit strategy, is to like build the brand and make it like a small chain, because it's something we noticed there is that, okay, big hotels have like procedures, manuals, like they really think about the structure and the operational part of the hotel. Smaller hotels or boutique hotels, like, oh, we are small, we don't need that. And it's like, no, you need that. And if that's the part, yes, and if that is what can allow that scalability that I was talking about, and maybe replicate at least, our vision is to do it at least five times, and then maybe exit with a like more known and bigger brand that is interesting in having these like unique places that well run and with procedures in place that is easier to manage.
Right, like, I mean, I'm mind blown. Like right now, like you're thinking 5 hotels, diversifying the business strategy is not about renting out just the room or the whole place or expanding the restaurant. It's also about building a brand, providing like infrastructure for other small boutique hotels, and that's very mind blowing. So that's where my last question comes in. So how do you get to run all this? Like, is it easy or not?
Yeah, so I would say no, it's not easy. We both have kids, we both have families. I think, for me personally is really I have a virtual assistant who helps me with a lot of my stuff, and every day in and out, I give her a lot of my tasks that I can do so I can kind of take a step back. I think with the hotel, there's always something going on, whether it's day, night, anytime. So we're always like having to be available to the team, I think is really critical. I think the long-term play on that was that, we did bring in someone to general manage, and she is a trusted advisor from Katherine, who they used to work together. And I think that really made a difference. And, we can kind of take a step back a little bit and have someone now in control of the day-to-day operations, where we can breathe a little bit and think strategy and think next steps, and whether that's, oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
hear
sorry,
you.
I lost you. Whether that's, creating our fund that we're talking about, which is K&K Ventures, and next step of like bringing some capital, raising capital to acquire more hotels.
You just saw my kid coming in, my son. So
Exactly.
I was thinking in the answer, and I was like, how we do this among with everything we have. I think that is like team and community. Like, because he came because another mom picked him up from school and he's
Right.
coming here, and I feel that is like the community that you need to have or be surrounded in where you live, and in Tulum where there is investment, that like having people where you were saying, Roberto, that really care about you and you care about them. So it's like we can help each other, protect each other, like see what we are not seeing in the moment. And I feel that community and people, like if aside from the investment in the property, if you can invest a little on the people that is going to be working with you, I feel that is where like you get to, as Kristi said, the sky is the limit.
Absolutely. And I see that is also a trend. Like communities are growing all around the world. In wellness, you mentioned that is like a big thing right now. But to build business, I think that's one of the biggest assets. Like having your friends, having your family, having your neighbors build a community together and support each other. I agree. I agree. That's very important. And I've been very fortunate, like as you, I can see to have this network too of support, like this community of friends, of family, and Tulum has been also that for me. So I just wanted to mention, take the opportunity to thank you to everyone that is there in our network
Absolutely.
that support us. So yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing episode. It's just the second one. We're just getting started. I'm really looking forward to talk about. Uh, you mentioned fractional ownership, potentially like many topics that we discussed today, like that could be a whole episode. So I'm
Absolutely.
very, very grateful, Kristi and Katherine.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah,
Thank you, Roberto, for having us. Thank you.
Yes.
yeah. So thank you everyone who listen up to here, and we'll keep you posted for the next episode.
Bye.
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 Bye. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Roberto.